And welcome back to the relaunch of the Real Mac Moves. Real life, real talk, and real estate. Today, I have the distinct honor and pleasure of having a returning guest on the show today. The ambassador of Agent Goodwill, the executive producer of Tampa Bay Real Producers, the maestro, the moderator, the minister of all real producer things, and just the real deal. You know, and he's also been known to rock a pretty savage beard game. You know, Moses worthy, some might say, parting those Tampa Bay seas. I think that my wife may have had you trim it back a little bit, though.
She did.
Yes, and he is just a real God-fearing family man of 6, I believe, along with a lovely wife, beautiful wife. And last but not least, the undisputed former heavyweight king of Cutco Knives, Donnie the Donald Don Hill.
Good to be here, my man. How you doing?
And yours truly, Jason JMac McIntosh, your host here at the Real Mac Moves. How is that for an intro?
Dude, you are the king of intros.
I try.
I must say.
I wrote that
you have
especially
a
for you.
strong intro game.
Well, thank you, sir.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Just almost as strong as your shoe game, but it's pretty darn good.
I got to keep up with the Joneses.
It's pretty darn good.
Yes. And of course, we cannot forget behind the camera, it would not all be possible without Rob, Mr. Producer Rob. There he is. Yeah, Rob.
They don't call him Cox for a reason.
You know, it's either Horny or Cox. I mean, I know he's changed his name along the way. Horn and K. That's a funny little inside joke there, but it's true.
It is true.
So, yes.
I think it was smart to lean into the Cox.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, this is a family Christian show, but he leans right into the Cox.
He did well.
He
Yes.
did well. So.
Fitting.
Thank you, Don, for being here today and taking time out of your busy schedule.
It's my pleasure.
You actually just switched seats today. It was
I
just
did.
A
It
few
feels
episodes
different
ago.
to be on this side of the table, so to speak.
Yes.
But I'm enjoying it.
I love it. I love it.
You get a better view from this angle of the road and the whole background.
It's quite the
you really
view.
get to experience the studio from this piece.
Yeah, you just reminded me. 4890 West Kennedy Boulevard,
That's
Suite
where we are.
100, Urban Center.
In the house.
Right across from the West Shore Mall for now. Just for now. I mean,
Yeah.
they've got some plans to do some other things there later.
I'm sure I've heard.
But
What kind of plans? Anything good?
You know, I think they're going to go with the whole kind of like continuation of the Midtown kind of vibe.
Oh, that'd be nice.
Yeah,
They
some
need to do
shops.
something with that right there. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a little dated at this point.
It's called progress. I mean,
agree.
there's so many things happening for Tampa Bay. It's an exciting time to be in Tampa Bay. And we're just kind of continuing the theme and series. I had Katrina on, who's in our mastermind, who
Love
you've had on
Katrina
the show.
Manuel, yep.
And we were talking about building a real estate empire, teams, brokers, or even a solo agent. So let's first and foremost have you talk about explain to the audience who doesn't know maybe what a real producer is and a little bit about the franchise and your role. Let's kick it off with that.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
So Real Producers is a national franchise. There's like 125 markets around the country.
Yeah.
I started with the franchise. I hooked up with them back in 2018. And at the time, I was running 2 separate franchises within the parent company that were focused on like neighborhood magazines.
Yeah.
So we were serving Snell Isle over in St. Pete and
Remember that?
Tierra Verde as well over in Pinellas County. Affluent neighborhoods, beautiful neighborhoods. I had a lot of agents that were clients of mine who wanted to advertise in those neighborhoods and farm and build events and relationships and all that jazz.
Yeah.
So Real Producers became an option for Tampa Bay. There was nothing here at that time that was existing. Orlando was, I think, the only one in Florida at the time, if I remember correctly.
I remember that.
And so I looked into it. I've always loved the real estate community. I've liked investing in real estate. Like I said, I had a lot of top agents that were my clients. So I decided to sell off those other 2 franchises and go full steam ahead with Tampa Bay Real Producers.
You had kind of the foresight because either you knew or it's just a stroke of genius and luck that the Tampa Bay market just kind of exploded at that time.
Right
too.
around that same time frame. It was a perfect storm, I would say.
Yeah, because I started my real estate career here in Tampa Bay in 2015, and boy, I don't recognize it even in 11 years.
Yeah, it's changed a lot.
And we're not even
since
close.
2018 when we launched the thing, it's changed immensely.
Right?
Yeah, for sure.
And we're not even close to where we're going. So I think it's an exciting time to be doing real estate in Tampa Bay. So what would make a real producer?
So every year we look at the top 500 producing agents in Tampa Bay.
Okay.
So as you probably are aware, there's about 25,000 licensed agents that are in this market when you consider Hillsborough, Pinellas, and Pasco County. Those are the 3 counties that we serve with Tampa Bay Real Producers. Most of those agents are doing basically nothing, right? Maybe 1 or 2 deals a year.
Well, the 74% in 2024 and 25 sold 0.
I know. There was 9,000 agents last year that didn't sell a single deal.
It's amazing.
According to the MLS, which is insane.
Yeah,
it really is. So to be a real producer, to answer your question, an agent would have had to do just over $12 million in volume last year.
Yeah.
And they averaged about 42 transactions per agent.
I was getting ready to say, median prices have kind of gone anywhere from that in some areas, 280, 290 to 4.25. So that makes perfect sense. If you're figuring, at 12 million at 400 a pop, that's 30 transactions. So yeah, I mean, that's a healthy number. And for those people out there, you're talking about maybe 2 to 3 transactions a month closed on average. That's strong as Kong.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah,
so that
absolutely.
is a real producer.
That is what we call that is how you qualify as a real producer. And I get the question all the time is like, how much does an agent have to pay to be featured in our magazine? Whether that's yourself there on one of the covers that we did. We have featured Jason multiple times
I know what the answer
as a
is.
real producer. Tell them the answer,
I
Dave.
paid absolutely 0.
Exactly right. And that's unique because a lot of real estate magazines are always, I'm sure, pitching even people like you
all the
about,
time.
hey, we'll do an article on you. You only got to pay $4,000 for your feature or whatever the case may be. And I think most agents would tell you they appreciate that. It's completely free to be featured. It's just based on qualification.
Yeah.
Obviously, we support the entire platform through our amazing partner relationships that you're aware of.
Yeah, and I also have to say this too, very trustworthy and things of that nature, because in all my years of doing real estate, there are a lot of companies out there and they like to swoop in and take your money and promise things and you don't get it. And I don't know how many thousands of dollars that I've spent, maybe been robbed, scammed, cheated. Like I'm still waiting on the book to come out that I was supposed to have written about me and took my money and ran and can't even find the people. I don't think they're in business anymore.
Unfortunately, I've heard that many a time for sure.
Many a times, too many times to count. So let's talk about kind of the expansion effort into all the other opportunities. This is I'm kind of giving you a chance here to plug some stuff because it's just spilled into all kinds of arenas, from CRMs to coaching to mentoring. Obviously, right here in this building on the 8th floor, which is the Center Club. We meet once a month. Well, we used to there.
We used to.
I'm sorry. Now we're down at plugged down there to what used to be GTAR, which is now Star, and then the Suncoast and all of that.
Yeah.
So that's a nice little spot there. I liked it. Enjoyed it on our last one.
Yeah.
But we meet once a month and we get together and we do that as well, the mastermind. So
sure.
Maybe talk a little bit about the expansion.
Yeah, dude, the whole program has evolved over the years. So as you said, it started just simply with the magazine initially, just as a way to tell the stories of the top 500 agents. That's still a staple product. We put out an issue every month. We do 12 a year. And we started doing some events from the very first year that we had the program. At first, it was like 2 or 3 events a year, which were kind of bigger scale events. We did like a launch party. We did a summer soiree, if I remember correctly. And I think we did a golf tournament that first year.
You've been on a boat a few times.
We did a few yachts. You're right about that. A couple boats. And then over every year, things have kind of been added and evolved. A couple years back,
the panels
started up. Yeah, that started a few years ago at Whiskey Cake down there at International Mall.
Yeah.
We had yourself on a panel multiple times. We've had other top producers. So if you go to TampaBayRealProducers.com, click on events, you'll see all of our panel topics for 2026.
Yeah.
And we every month on the third Thursday meet and we bring top producers on a panel. We now this year pivoted a little bit from just a panel to a roundtable piece of this as well, which has been nice to have some more engagement with all the audience members. And so that's the educational side of things. Then we also added what we call MVP socials, which are more like happy hours to celebrate the agents that are featured in the magazine. That's where we hand out those frames and everything that you see over there. And the Agent Choice Awards.
Producer Rob's probably going to have to be a producer and bring over a real producer. And, since I'm on the episode and not one of my colleagues, we can actually promote and plug me if that's okay this time.
Yeah, get that up here right in the middle, baby. Come on, Rob. Let's make this happen.
Look at that handsome fellow there.
Now, we've done multiple features on you over the years.
I was actually a centerfold.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I know you've always wanted to be a centerfold.
I truly was a centerfold. That was your veteran edition.
Yep. Well, I think when we first hooked up with you, we might have even featured you as like a rising star early. Yeah. This was probably like 2018, 2019.
Well, that leads me into another segue. It's probably pretty rewarding for you to see people that you've featured and met kind of the rise to greatness.
Yeah.
And just to see that change and shift and transition into a newbie that's done well into people that have now are leading the way, paving the way.
Yeah, we've seen that a lot. There's some that find that path about being an independent individual agent, and they absolutely love it, and I think it's cool to watch their journey. But many of them have gone down the path like you have of building great teams, maybe even becoming a broker if they want to do that path as well. Yeah. And so I've seen that multiple times, and watching that evolution. I've had some of them on our podcast multiple times as well to talk about that journey. So it's been neat to see it.
You do your podcast right here in this studio,
right in this beautiful studio. Right. Jason's been gracious for many years now to hook it up.
Right here in this very seat, the host.
Very much so. Very much so.
No, I think that's cool and neat to kind of watch that journey take shape, and I think it also creates what I like to call one of my favorite words. Synergy.
Oh, I thought you were going to go with collaboration, but
collaboration is good, but synergy is even stronger. So
I agree.
Let me define that for you. The total is greater than the sum of all its individual parts. So we're the real producers. You've got some of the very best in Tampa Bay, the top 500, if you will. But you put all those people together, the total is greater than any one individual in that group. So it's pretty awesome to be in that company, and I think it's inspiring, and we all can kind of learn from each other.
Right, and that speaks to the masterminds that we started doing a couple years ago.
I was going to tell you, it's so very fascinating for me to be in these masterminds where you can have, I've had a team as little as 5 to start with, as high as 40, and then kind of scaled back, pivots in the market. I'm right at that 2025 by design, but in that scale mode. But it's interesting to see and hear, and some of these people that you've had right here in this very office, their business has 10x and 20x, and they've been involved in some things like with the Zillow and the Flex and expansion, which I'm just 1 year into. Some of my peers have been, 3 years in, and I got to give props to some of those people, even like Mr. Keegan there. He's done some pretty amazing things.
He's built a great brand.
1,000 transactions a year and growing. Yep. So it's inspiring to me and interesting to see that some of us share the exact same pain points, no matter how big or small.
Without a doubt. A couple of years ago, I remember talking to you about this before we even launched it, right? About like wanting to do something to collaborate with more on a more consistent basis other than just the sporadic events we were doing. And so that was the genesis of creating what we initially called our Elite Agent Mastermind program. Yeah. And you were in the first year that we did it. At that time, if you remember, it was a little bit of a mixture of individual agents, brokers, team leaders. We're all in the room together. And I thought it went well. It was a great first experiment. We did it again a second year. This was the first year, though. This is our third year now doing it, where we separated these two classifications. So we have a monthly mastermind that's just for individual agents. We still call that the Elite Agent Mastermind. And then we added this year our Dream Team Mastermind, our Team Leader Broker Mastermind that you're in. And I think it's been a good decision to separate them like that. We've allowed us to get a little deeper, I believe, in our conversations. Obviously more the challenges that you have are different as a team leader than an individual agent would have. And it's opened up also more seats, right? Now we have 24 seats that we can help fill rather than just 12.
Very good point there.
I think that's been good.
But I'm glad that you started it that way because to me it was interesting to have everybody in that room. And that was an interesting year, but then it got even more interesting the second year, and now we're in the third year. And I think you hit the nail on the head right there because it's all relatable to our business as other broker owners and team leaders.
Without a doubt.
Heading in the same direction. So
we're going to continue doing it. The plan is to continue keep it rolling for 2027 with 2 different groups again, and we'll see how it shakes out.
Are there any spoiler alerts on the horizon that you want to drop some bombs here? So what's next coming type things?
Well, I mean, we have if you go to our website, you'll see all of our upcoming events.
Yeah.
We are excited about our Olympics this fall. This will be our second year doing that.
Can you please do that when I'm not out of town?
Well, I believe the date is November 5th, so hopefully you'll be around.
I got to look.
If you can get your team to cooperate and compete, that would be fun. Yeah. We actually did it right here at Cypress Point Park, right down the road. And it was it was a blast last year.
You did like the tug of war stuff.
We had I think it was 8 different games. I don't know if Rob remembers. It was 8 to 10 games, and it was a cool experience. People got into it. We had tug of war. We had volleyball. We had cornhole. We had this thing called whirly ball or something like that, where it was kind of like a combination of
frisbee.
Did
you have some pickleball?
We didn't.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think they have pickleball.
I've never played pickleball before, but that's like you have.
Yeah,
it's like,
that's the big thing now, man. It's like all the cool kids
I've had picklebacks.
Yeah.
Have you had some picklebacks? Yeah.
No, not a pickleball. I'm not a big pickleball guy myself, but
Yeah.
what the heck? I don't know. Well, maybe we'll add that this year. But that's in November. The only other thing I'll throw out there that we launched about a year and a half ago now is the Top Producers Nation community aspect.
Yeah.
So that was really designed, speaking to what we said earlier, that there's majority of agents that are out there that are not yet top producers.
Yeah.
Is there something that we can maybe do to help provide some consulting, some coaching, CRM? What we're really leaning into right now is developing webinars and video sales letters to help position agents a little bit more strategically.
Yeah.
Whether they're on an individual, basis or on a team, or even work with brokers or team leaders like yourself. Obviously, somebody like you, we might work more on the recruiting side of things.
Yeah.
But that's something I'm excited about and leading into that a little bit more this year.
I think it's a real responsibility to, this is an industry. I love this industry, but it's broken in a sense that there's over 90-something% attrition in this industry.
Yep.
And there's a couple of reasons why. There is no distinct pathway for a brand new agent because it's either you're an entrepreneur or you're not, and not everybody has to be an entrepreneur.
Sure.
That's where the brokerages and the teams come in, because then they're a part of something that's already built and ongoing.
Right.
Because it's hard to build that from the scratch.
Totally.
I mean, you're talking about years of blood, sweat, and tears. I've paid the dumb tax. You're hundreds and millions of dollars that have been spent, and all of that. Oh man!
Let's not break the glass.
Let's
over
not
here.
do that.
That'd be bad luck.
And just so it's almost like a responsibility that all these people are missing is just the right ingredients and the right team.
Right.
Right.
Well, a lot of what we talk about on our podcast is how these top producers get traction, and it usually is hooking up with the right team from the beginning.
Yeah.
Like plugging into somebody who has that mentorship, who has systems already locked and loaded, so you don't have to create all that stuff from scratch, because it is a heavy lift if you're trying to do that yourself.
And especially when you're brand new, you have no experience, you don't have the context, and people are coming at you wanting to take your money and try this and try that. You don't know what works. Where an experienced team leader or broker, I mean, they do know what works and what doesn't.
Yep.
And they already have systems in place that are time proven. They already have proof of concept.
Yep.
So to just jump on that locomotion that's already moving 1,000,000 miles an hour, that's the way to go. And that's going to be your fastest trajectory. Is just surround yourself with successful people.
Without a doubt.
That are busy.
That's the advice I would give to any agent. And sometimes I'll have new agents who come to our panels and they'll ask me questions specifically about like, what is some of the things that I can do to kind of get involved with the right people? And they usually are pretty appreciative of the people who are sharing best practices at our panels.
Yeah.
But I'll tell them, find a good mentor, find a team. And many times I'll even help connect them to certain teams that I know that they're looking for whatever specific things, right?
Yeah. And if you're willing and you have that growth mindset, not the fixed mindset, it will happen because, I've sat in these chairs and interviewed agents that have been in the business a year and a half, and have never sold a thing, or maybe just did a few transactions. And I can tell you it wasn't their fault. Right. They just were at a place that didn't have the support. Or, the one big thing is most places don't provide leads because it's expensive.
Right.
It's ongoing, and you have to have systems and processes and accountability. And if you don't have an ROI, then you can't keep spending.
Totally.
So if you plug into a system that's time proven and works year after year after year, and then even has survived, so to speak, kind of that downturn where you're almost like recession proof, right? So it's the scenery may change, but the results are the same.
Without a doubt.
If you have systems and processes in place.
That's the key. And sometimes you get to a point where you feel like you've developed your own systems and processes that work for you. And that's usually when you might have that question of, do I start my own team? Do I take that next step and share these with other people? Or many of them live great lifestyles by just being independent agents and crushing it.
But wouldn't you agree that the foundation and the basics are always the same, but everything else evolves and you have to evolve with it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, well, when you're in real estate, there's going to be certain things that are outside of your control based on market conditions.
Well, that's different. Yeah. That's called making adjustments and adapting, because to your point, I've been in retail. Don't let the baby face fool you. I'm 52 years young.
Don't look a day over 40, brother.
Thank you, man. For a grandfather of 3 and 4th on the way.
Congratulations.
So,
it's exciting.
I was going to put you on the spot too. I forgot to do it. So, 6 children.
Yeah.
Can you actually name them all in order?
No.
I was going to say, I mean, man.
My wife's not watching this.
Do you make them wear name tags?
I just call them all Don, like George Foreman. It works well that way.
Don to 6. Well, how does that work for the females though? Like Donna. Oh, there you go,
Simple.
Donna.
It's very easy. Yeah.
Donna,
it rolls right off the tongue.
Yeah, because you have a mix. I know you've got
four girls and 2 boys.
Oh boy, you're
outnumbered. If my wife is watching, I do know their names. Brooklyn is our oldest. She's 12. Okay. We have Donald Hill the third. I'm a junior.
Okay.
So we call him Trey, and he's now 11.
Okay.
My youngest son is Lucas, and he's the mafia boss of the family. He's 10.
Love it.
We have Olivia, who's now 7.
Yeah.
And then we have Trinity, who's 3, and our baby is Grace, and she is 1.
It's interesting that you say that, because it's always that middle child that it's the one you got to watch out for.
Oh, yeah. Lucas is our mafia boss.
They're right in the middle, because they're not the oldest and they're not the youngest, so they have to work both angles.
He fights for everything, and he knows it. Yeah.
I love that.
First thing he does when he wakes up in the morning is pounds out 25 push-ups.
He is going to be a real producer for sure. Now,
either that or a pastor. He has a loud voice. He likes to make sure everybody hears him. So I could see him following those footsteps too.
Do you see? They all probably have different personalities. Are they
without a doubt
already have distinct career paths in mind already?
No, I wouldn't say that. Brooklyn loves animals. I could see her getting involved at the vet side of things potentially. She's always begging for more dogs in the house and all that fun stuff. Like we need more chaos on our house on a regular basis. Lucas and Trey are really into sports right now. They love baseball. I love coaching them as a manager and a coach over there.
Quite the commitment, though, right?
It is. There's a lot, man. Yeah. I was just saying, this is our first weekend since basically December where we don't have baseball.
Yeah, man.
So it's nice to have a little bit of a break and enjoy the holiday.
Yes, it is. So I want to talk about going back to building the real estate team. So I think you can kind of give some perspective here, because, although you are heavily involved in the industry, you're not a licensed agent or broker yourself.
Yeah.
So what do you give some perspective into maybe, whether it's similar traits or skills or what's your perspective on what you see as a common thread amongst us?
Yeah, I love that question. So how we've defined it is we really have created what I call 2 different frameworks, one more geared towards like agent success and one geared towards team leader broker success. And it's really been based on the 1,000+ interviews now that we've done via the podcast and the magazine. So you asked about like the team leader side, I believe. And the way I've looked at this, and as you study more of our interviews, you start to see these patterns that arise, right? Mm-hmm. So we framed it in what I call the 4 Ps. Number 1 is like somebody who's committed to personal and professional growth of their people.
Whew.
So when Allie,
give me some music back to Robin.
So we just had Allie here in studio right before we hopped on here. I don't know if you met Allie St. Cyr, and she's a great team leader with Gulf Shores Realty. We talked in length about the culture of her team, and you'll notice this common thread that like these great team leaders, they have programs and systems in place that truly care about the personal growth of their people. It's not just a bottom line commission number to them, right? Yeah. They invest in their life. They want to help them achieve their dreams, right? They have systems to help them do that and identify what those dreams are. And that's one of the first things. The second piece, I would say, I call it the priority of adding value. Mm-hmm. And so they also create programs that truly lead with value.
Yeah.
And they do this with their clients, but they also do it with their agents, right?
Yeah.
As part of their recruiting process. they have certain carrots that are built into their recruiting process that show that agent, you know what, working with this person is going to be different than working with the last guy.
So let's take that a piece of the puzzle step by step here, because it's going back to it's funny how similar, even though we might have different cultures and systems, but the common thread and common denominator that I'm hearing, I talk about agent experience and client experience. And it's that same idea and philosophy that, we're out to give our clients the very best client experience. But if your agents aren't having the very best agent experience, it's almost like, happy wife, happy life.
Totally.
So it's the same thing. I mean, you're in essence almost like it's your family. You're kind of married to your agents, and you want to make sure that they are happy and they are getting that experience, and there is an open door, and there should be full transparency.
You got to take care of your own house before you worry about other people's houses, right?
You really do, and you've got to be almost that shepherd, and they're your flock. But you also have the responsibility to the people on your team to maintain that culture and core values. And if it is compromised, then you have to fix that quickly.
Totally.
Because that will spread if you don't.
Yeah. Well, we talked as well about the idea of hiring slow and firing fast. And sometimes that's needed, especially when you're protecting culture.
Yeah.
It's one of the big points.
My motto lately these days have been, kill it or cure it. Right?
I like that. Yeah.
So we're going to fix it, right? So we're either going to settle it, squash it, cure it, or it's time to part ways. And that could be true professionally speaking, even in relationships, outside in life and in the real world. I mean, it really boils down to that simple, right? Because there's got to be that willingness, and there's always going to be compromise. And I know as a team leader, you fall on swords that aren't even yours, so we're constantly falling on swords because it's always a reflection back into yourself, right?
Because everything that's within your organization is a reflection of you.
That's it. Because you may not be the one making the mistake. You may not be the one with a bad attitude. You might be the one that cares. But if you aren't being conscious and aware enough of correcting that or curing it, then you're just as, it's almost like, what is it, like guilty by association?
Totally.
Accessory, you're an accessory to it, right?
Yeah, so, I call it taking ultimate responsibility.
It really is.
And great leaders do that. And what's interesting is when you do that as a great leader, people notice, and even when because they're not dumb, they know that it really wasn't your fault, right? But even though you take responsibility when things go wrong, that usually raises the level of respect for that leader and people's desire to want to work with that person.
I think about, and I go back, I don't know if you've ever done this, but I go back and think about all the great leaders in my life that have influenced me, and people I looked up to, and in management roles. And, it's like, now I get it. It's almost like your parents. Like when you become a parent, you're like, oh, no, I get it.
Totally.
And my own, you haven't got to that point yet, but it's an amazing thing, and it will happen. When your children say to you, especially my oldest daughter, Ariana, she's 26. And
she's an agent now, right?
She's an agent on the team. And there's been so many times I get the message, and every time it's just like, Dad, I get it, I understand now. And just thank you so much. And, because it's like, oh, wow, Or the first time they actually get a job, right, and make their own money, and it's like they don't think anything of, like, a family's 6, you're not going out to eat for under $100.
No, you can't even go to McDonald's nowadays for less than $75.
Oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Jimmy John's, the any of them places, the Jersey Mike's. I mean, $1.25. You're
no doubt. It gives me constant motivation to keep growing and working, right?
That's it. So
Rob's working on a lot of things over here.
He is. I can't wait to see what's happening here. I'm getting a little nervous.
He's got a lot going on, man.
What are you going to have us do next
God
year?
bless you, my man. He's always working on something over here.
He's producing.
He's jump roping and skipping pipes over here and doing everything.
So that's kind of a common thread there too. What is maybe your take? You asked this question a lot, so I'm going to flip it around you because you got all the answers. What's on the real estate horizon, you think? I mean, what's happening? What's going on? I mean,
well, I'm never the one who claims to be the expert when it comes to studying the market trends. That's not my cup of tea, honestly.
Yeah.
But I do ask that question of people who I feel like really take ownership of it. I have had obviously conversations with financial experts like a Frank Cotto, I know you know well, and they will tell me.
He is an expert of reverse mortgages, that's for sure.
He is, yes. and I think a lot of things money related.
Frank's a great guy. You know, I've done been on his show too many times, and
you guys were doing a show together for a while, weren't you?
The Business Happy Hour, which is so much fun, probably some of the most fun I've had. He's a very charismatic individual like myself.
He is. When
you put two energy magnets in the room, I mean, it was pretty overwhelming at times.
It could be a little combustible sometimes.
It was. It was in a real estate explosion.
Well, I know he would probably tell you that, like, you know, interest rates are still probably getting more and more aggressive, I would think, here over the next year or two beyond. I think Tampa Bay, in general, is still one of the hottest markets in the whole country.
I would agree with that because there's so much going on, and we haven't even
tons of new development.
Tip of the iceberg. Yep. It's very transient. People are coming and going, and it's a great place to live and bang for the buck.
Totally. The weather's still beautiful despite the storms you might get a couple times a year.
Yeah.
People still want to get out of the cold weather, and they love the freedom that Florida brings, right?
So if you were to ask me, and it's so funny because, so I know you actually went on right after I did. I did the episode before your episode with our friend Ryan Owens on the
on
marina.
The boat, yeah.
And how about those waves were rocking, huh?
Yeah, right. We actually parked and anchored right by my old stomping grounds by University of Tampa, which brought back some good memories.
But it's so funny because he had messaged me early in the day, and he's like, something about, are you a real agent? And I go, well, I never knew I was a fake agent, right? So, and
that's
he goes,
right, with the merge, right?
Yeah, and he goes, well, that would be really funny if I was the first to tell you. And I'm like, So then I get on, I do the old news channel, which is like Google or Facebook, right? And I see all of these posts and everything. And there's the Mr. Lineker, who has, I mean, since, 50 plus years that real estate's been around and founded. And you know, he was time for him to exit, you know, and nothing wrong with that. I mean, the valuation of near $1 billion, $880 million. So, you know,
that could be a strong motivation to consider selling.
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, but what he built, I mean, if you look around in this office, and it's pretty fitting with the Memorial Weekend upon us, red, white, and blue. It's kind of a red, white, and blue explosion in here.
I love it.
I'm a veteran.
I've always loved that.
I've served. And that was one of the things that drew me towards the RE/MAX brand, which is globally recognized and founded by a Marine.
You've been loyal to RE/MAX over the years. I mean, you've been with them since what, 20?
Since my inception, 2015.
Wow. Which is rare, by the way. You don't see there's a lot of moving and shaking in the real estate world.
You don't have to explain anything when it's a balloon. There are 10,000 plus brokerages in 121 plus countries. So when you put that name tag on, people already know RE/MAX. So that's why I do it. But
has anything changed for you since the real acquisition?
He asked me that question on the boat, and I told him, you know, it's just business as usual.
Yeah.
So it's yet to be determined what the horizon and what will change. The companies will operate independently for the moment.
Yep.
And there may be some advantages down the road that we'll know about. I know that definitely if you still have some chance to buy some RE/MAX stock, do it. So
that could make
sense.
sense.
That went up tremendously. But
is there some like software options that are coming your way?
There is some back end stuff, but like I told him on the show, I'm very OCD about my software, and you know I choose to spend extra for the latest and greatest, and like Follow Up Boss is my CRM for life, and being a Zillow Flex team, I mean I'm required to have it anyway.
Yeah.
But there will be some advantages, and there'll be some more down the road. Who knows? But it's business as usual.
Good.
And so, you know, if you were to ask me that question, what's on the horizon of real estate? I would say to you, does it really matter? Because the bill collectors want their money 12 months out of the year.
That's the truth.
And they don't really care about your excuses or it's the weather, it's the president, it's the economy, it's the war, it's this, it's the gas prices.
Right.
They still want their money.
F you, pay me.
That's it. So being in retail now for going on 4 decades, you figure out a way to pivot, adapt, and make adjustments and continue forward.
Yeah. Can I ask you a question?
Please.
Based on, you brought up the question of leadership earlier, and knowing your military background, I'm curious, are those some of the best leaders that you've ever been exposed to as your military leaders?
Such a great question. And I can tell you, you're looking at a guy that has a real problem with authority, which is why this is the McIntosh group. I don't like to be micromanaged. I don't like to be told what to do, which is why I'm always trying to make sure I'm always doing the right thing. So, because I'm not toxic, you know.
Perfect timing.
But I so much love and have an appreciation of organization and accountability and punctuality and structure.
Yeah.
And that's what the military gave me and provided for me. Totally. And I will never lose that and appreciate that for the rest of my life. You take that and you incorporate that and you put it into your day-to-day business in your life.
No doubt.
So I have zero regrets that I did in the military. I think everyone should do it for 2 to 3 years. It just wasn't for me to make a career out of it.
Sure.
You know.
Was there one particular leader that stood out to you for any reason?
Ooh, he was definitely bad to the bone. Was there one particular leader? There was a few drill sergeants there that I definitely. This is funny. It's right out of one of these movies, and it's true. It's just like the movies. Mm-hmm. So I can remember the day.
Hello there.
Give me cue the dramatic music. So we're on the bus heading over to boot camp. So we're in there. We have no idea what's in store. We've seen some movies. We don't know. Where's my music, Rob? Very dramatic. He's looking for it.
It's going to be so dramatic that he's making people wait.
And so we're on this bus and we're having fun. And this is a co-ed bus, if you will. So there's boys and girls. And we're going to, I don't even know what they call it, inception, reception, where we go to the barracks and we're getting ready to do our thing. And so we're laughing, having a good time on the bus. Mind you, on this bus, incognito, sitting up in the front, there is a drill sergeant, and he had the drill sergeant hat on there, but he was like, we weren't even on there, right? Back turned, didn't flinch. Where is my music, man? I'm missing the emotion and the drama.
He's looking for the perfect song.
I will wait.
Oh, what's this?
Okay, I'll get into this. I'll try to make this work here. Let me see what I can do here. Brown chicken brown. I mean, we got to keep the pants on. I mean, that's the wrong music. More like a patriotic, like a dun 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 dun.
Dun dun dun.
With copyright.
Dun dun dun.
Sound stripe. Okay, I'm gonna go with it. So anywhere on this bus, it's very dramatic. You got have you ever seen like a drill sergeant hat, like out of the Full Metal Jacket type stuff?
Yeah.
And so he's sitting there, and we're all there having a good time, whatever. It was like a party, like a little college frat party or something. Then we get there. We park. The doors open. The noise. Make the noise that the door opens, like kind of a hydraulic. That's it. And so then this guy stands up. And boy, it was on, man. And then he stands up. We exit. And they're all lined up. 12, 15, 20 of them to greet us. And they were going at you full gear. You had your rucksack, you're bringing everything in, you got to take it into the barracks, and man, they're yelling, they're screaming, they're getting in their face, they're pointing at you, they're doing it all. So I remember we get into the men's barracks and they line us up in like a circle, and they make us throw all our stuff in the middle, and they are and so you had to stand dress at attention, right? And the trick is, and I learned this early on, they're going by each person, and people are like, their body language, there you go. The body language, the awkwardness, the nervousness, they were like sharks in water, and we were the chum, right? So the thing
they were
about
looking for weakness.
Exactly, and they sniffed the fear. So I just caught on. I got good instincts, right? Very perceptive. I think that makes me a good leader. So I'm like stiff as a board. I locked in. Because I did my homework before I came in. I watched Full Metal Jacket like 10 times. So I'm sitting there locked in, boom, boom. And I can remember, man, I mean, they're going one by one.
You can't make eye contact, right?
And there was a guy next to me. He was redhead and just really lanky and awkward. He's like, what are you looking at, Opie? Are you eye-beeping me? Or you want to beep me? You want to do that? I mean, just going every slur in the book, and just like the guys, no. And I just locked, didn't even flinch, and not one of them came up and said a thing to me.
They didn't mess with you, huh?
Not at all, but I was locked in. But it was a whole experience in of itself because, listen, I mean, I played football, I wrestled, did a little basketball. I didn't get any, what do you call those, scholarships? I mean,
sure.
I wasn't the greatest athlete, but I had
you
my
went through
moments.
a little bit of hazing, I'm sure, during football seasons and teams, but military is a whole other level.
I wasn't the most elite there. I wasn't the best runner there. I wasn't the best anything there, but I was locked in.
Yeah.
So, almost a little under the radar, but there were certain things that maybe at moments I excelled at. But I remember one time I was a terrible long distance runner. Terrible. Bigger guys aren't great runners, and not that I was lanky then. I mean, I was skinny as can be, like a beanpole.
You make good anchors in tug of war, though.
That's it. So I can remember doing the 2-mile run just to pass your PT test. You had to do it in like 14 minutes and 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And I remember there was a guy there that I got into it with. Me and him got into it. And we were running, and I wasn't the fastest, but yet I wasn't the slowest. But, man, I was huffing and puffing. And some of these guys would do it in like 10 minutes, 10:30, which is like an Olympic time, I think, to do 2 miles. And so I was struggling at the end. I remember this one guy I got into it with. He was struggling too, and I kind of went past him a little bit, and he's trailing way behind me, and he stopped, and he's getting ready to fall out, and the drill sergeants just are running forward, running backward. This is nothing to him, right?
Yeah.
Yelling and screaming at you. And I came up to him. I'm like, come on, man, we can do this. And we're right by his side, and by me giving him the boost, it gave me the boost.
Totally.
Because I was struggling too. I was ready to fall out.
Accountability is a powerful force.
It is. We got all the way to the end. He's like, oh, man, thanks, buddy. I couldn't have got through that without you. And I'm like, to tell you the truth, you got me through it, too, because I was ready to die, too.
Yeah, that's cool.
And I learned a valuable lesson then. So I think in life there's a lot of...
You go a lot further, faster with somebody.
Yes, man. So I can remember, too, I shot expert, right? And during the... And I'd never shot a gun before that. But I can remember... doing the at the range and doing everything, and I wasn't like the best, and the drill sergeant they would come and give you some stuff, but there was what's called sports, which is slap, pull, something. It was all in your breathing. And I can remember on the range my gun jammed up, and then I had to do this real quick, but I did it under pressure, and a calmness came over me, and it was in a breathing. So I had missed one or two because I couldn't shoot at it. And after that, my breathing, I calmed down and I relaxed, and I found my center, and I hit everyone. They just kept popping down.
I think they call that
yards.
takna.
Yeah,
yes.
And just everyone. So there's expert, but there's also, I don't know if they call it a Hawkeye thing where you get all of them. I would have shot all of them, but the first two, I couldn't even shoot at them because I was locked up.
Yeah.
So I just learned so much in that.
Focus.
Chain of command, your, leaders, followers, people that are like mentally crazy, and just.
Well, it's funny you mentioned the whole story you just shared about helping that guy with you and finishing. You got better because you also reached out to him. Because you asked me earlier about like some frameworks that we've taken as far as the patterns of team leaders. Yeah. And the third one that I usually elaborate on is this idea behind the power of teamwork. And that's similar to what you just talked about. It's the idea of mentorship, making sure that there is a team culture in that organization. And one of the biggest things I've seen is a big hindrance with a lot of teams that they have the wrong people in the wrong seats.
Oh my gosh.
On their team.
Yes.
Versus
so
the great organizations literally have systems and programs to try to identify what are someone's strengths and weaknesses, and not just figuring it out through experimentation, but they actually are putting the right people on the right seats. And that's when the organization really starts moving. And sometimes that's just an accountability partner, which would be that person's role, right? I've shared with you guys in the mastermind the idea of utilizing a tool called the 6 Types of Working Genius. That's a Patrick Lencioni workshop. And that to me is one of the best tools on creating and identifying in your team what are the roles of every single every member of your organization. What is that strength what is that role that is designed for them, right?
It's so true, because you have your own strengths and weaknesses, but then you also have things you just don't like to do and you don't enjoy it.
And someone else would love doing
it. Exactly. And so I love him or hate him. I mean, that's one of the things about our president, that he was, even back in the day, with The Apprentice, watching I used to love that show, You're Fired, and the art of the deal. But he would talk about surrounding himself with the very best people in those areas. And that's a real genius, is to do that.
It really is. And I think sometimes it's really hard to try to figure that out on your own, because we have blind spots. I don't care how experienced you are as a leader.
Yeah.
You're always going to sometimes have these blind spots that you just don't see, because we tend to fall into our natural habits and patterns. And so utilizing a third-party tool, like I love Patrick Lencioni's tool as an example, and that's not obviously the only one, but using something that really put as a tool in your organization that people can go through and really identify those roles. So now strategically, you're putting people into something that's going to help them thrive, rather than just trying to figure it out experimentally.
Ding, ding, ding. That kind of reminds me of my favorite word, the synergy. I have another word that I like. It's symbiotic.
Ooh, that's a
so
good
let me
one.
explain that to you.
You like the S's, huh?
Symbiotic, yeah. Symbiotic is one of those relationships different than synergy, right? Where synergy is a total is greater than the sum of all its individual parts. But symbiotic goes a lot further, because you have leaders and you have followers and you have everything in between. But a symbiotic relationship is a relationship where one doesn't survive without the other. So it takes that I need you more than you need me, vice versa kind of thing, and it tosses it out the window, because I can't, like, good team leader can't survive without a good team. And they can't survive without the admin support and the MVP players in each area that is helping that organization move in the same direction with the same, they might have different systems and processes, but they're heading for the same direction.
Right. There's an overall vision that
That's what I'm looking for.
The team is actually going after, but then there's all these independent parts that are needed to actually hit that vision, right?
Yeah.
And there is not one or two people that can actually fulfill all these different roles that make a successful organization. And it gets even more complicated the bigger the organization gets.
Yeah.
Because then those roles start to get more enhanced, and there's more layers within these roles. So really having some sort of methodology that allows you to identify early in the process what would be the right path for this person to feel at home in my organization. And then I can really lay out the vision that they can see themselves growing and thriving in. Because I don't care what business you're in. Everybody wants to feel like they can work in an area or in an organization where they're going to grow and see opportunities.
And I think it's interesting, I think back to some of our conversations in those masterminds, and you take like a Joe at 54, you take like a Tony Baroni, you take even a Keegan, and they would have these probably leadership meetings or vision meetings with, maybe they start with maybe the management in the upper echelon, and they all kind of write down the vision and the core values, and basically they're in building phase to get to the same place. And then, you have to almost have another meeting where you're incorporating your people into that too, and the integration of all of that.
Totally.
So I think that's very important, that as business evolves and people might change and people come and go, you have to have that constant core and denominator of this mission, same vision and mission.
I agree.
And
then the last principle that, again, I think is the final piece of this is what I call the practice of developing leaders.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Yep.
So you go from focused on personal growth to the priority of adding value and leading with value, to then the power of teamwork and creating the structure so that there's true people thriving in their roles. And then the last piece of this is identifying those people within your organization
so good
that are actually going to become those future leaders. And just a simple framework that I've seen and I've used in my own business over the years is the idea of, teach, watch, critique. Right? That's the process. Teach, watch, critique. I
love it.
I'm going to teach you how to do this thing that eventually is going to be yours to own. You're gonna watch me do it probably multiple times. We're gonna talk about it. I'm then gonna watch you do it, right? And then we're gonna critique each other together until you get to the point where you're able to replicate that with somebody else. But if you have that teach, watch, critique framework, you end up building leadership and layers within your organization. And honestly, that's one of the things I think Keegan has done very well. He has a good, strong core now of leaders in all of his different market locations: Chicago, Orlando, East Coast. And if you talk to, and I've interviewed some of his top leaders.
Yeah.
If you talk to them, that's the model that they execute across these different offices.
So, producer Rob, I mean, this is some very clip-worthy material here. It's
you clipping away, Rob?
Please do.
Clips over there.
It leads me into what I always like to say. I have a couple sayings there, where every expert is born a beginner, right? And sooner or later, the student becomes the teacher. So it's so funny that we all run our business maybe a little bit different way, and maybe the recipe might change by a few different ingredients. But that's what I think is the cool part of this business, is how we all do things just a little bit differently, but while we're heading in the same goal.
I think it'd be boring if you had to do it the same way, don't you think?
Exactly right.
Yeah.
So I always think about that too when I'm sitting there interviewing someone, and I talk about that. You know, you could potentially be a future leader on the team, and is that something that you'd be interested in? Because if it is, and I can already see it in you, and if I do, I'll tell them right then and there.
Yeah.
Then allow me to shape and mold you, because that's where I throw out the symbiotic relationship.
Yeah.
You know, I'm gonna need you just as much as you need me, type of a thing, right?
Completely agree.
You got to have enough chiefs. If you've got too many Indians, you got to be able to have that balance there. So you're
and you can't be afraid of teaching somebody or sharing too much to somebody, thinking that they're going to then leave you, or take some of your best ideas and do something else with it. One of my mentors taught me a long time ago that it's much better to teach the best thing you can do to your people and then have them leave, rather than not teach them and have them stay.
I agree.
Right?
I agree. And often imitated, never duplicated. I mean, you never know what the future holds. Last night, I got, shout out Joe Keyholes, I got a call from a buddy that I've known for 29 years. He was in the car business with me in St. Louis, Missouri. We grew up there in the same dealership. He actually introduced him to my late wife's sister, and he dated her for a while. We became best friends and buddies. Came down here, kicked ass in real estate. And he's like, man, I want to come down and do real estate, right? He came down, did real estate with me. At the time, married, and you had the kids and everything. We didn't really drift. It's just I was living here, he's living there. Life happens, life changes, and sometimes your circumstances might change you as a person, and I've had a lot of tragedy in my life too. I mean, I lost a son, I lost a wife, and that will shape and mold you into something more than you were before.
Totally.
Or just amplify things in you didn't know you had, right? So anyway, I think maybe there was some not inner peace there, and he wasn't quite himself, and we kind of drifted away. I didn't talk to him for 11 years because it was very short-lived. He still stayed down here in Florida and moved over to down in the Northport area and got back into the dealership where he's been the whole time. But he just really had I wonder what would happen, right? And he was watching me the whole time. And then I always thought, too, the same thing. I mean, man, if Joe was still here. I got a call last night, and we had an hour and a half talk, and we texted this morning, too. And it's like, sometimes in life, shit happens.
Sure.
And listen, there's some sayings out there I think people use too loosely, and everything happens for a reason. I don't necessarily agree, per se, to that, because there are good people murdered. There are bad things that happen to good people, and I think that there's good and evil in this world. The good Lord gives you free will, and so you make your own reasons, right? And then the other kind of saying that people, I think, kind of use a little loosely is, it's God's will. God gives you free will.
Sure.
God has a plan.
Yeah.
It's not, so don't go to the cliche, it's God's will,
right?
Because, like, if you have a family close friend that is, murdered or gets killed by a drunk driver, I mean, that wasn't necessarily God's will. There were choices that were made, and God has a master plan that we don't understand, and His timing's different.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that He can't use that for good.
Right.
But it doesn't always mean that it was His will. There was some free will involved, for sure.
Exactly. So I've just kind of taken those things, and that's really shaped and molded me in life. So I think a lot of times in life, it's about timing. And that's where the like God's plan comes into place and timing, because when you sit there and fathom infinity for a moment, we can't.
Yeah.
What is infinity?
It's impossible to wrap your brain
No
around.
beginning and no end.
Yeah.
The Alpha and the Omega.
There's a great book that I've read. It's a faith-based book. It's called Driven by Eternity.
Yep.
And it's a faith-based book about that perception of like,
give us the music, Rob, in the background.
What ultimately should matter most, right, about our lives if we believe we have a soul, which is the only part of us that is designed to be eternal. Many people believe that, right? And it's that soul, that piece of us that ultimately is going to have an eternity one way or the other. Once we're born, we're always an eternal being, even when we lose this body.
That is wild.
You know what I mean? It's that concept of true eternity, and it is impossible for our human brains to wrap our brain around it because
can't even.
We're completely limited by time. Everything we do is time connected to it. God, if you believe in the spiritual matters, God is really the only thing outside of time.
So listen,
so much so that he created time.
We're not really that insignificant.
No.
And that really means that we're not just a speck.
Correct.
Because I never even thought of it that way. The moment you are born, our human body is not immortal, but we are eternal.
Our eternal beings.
Whether you're going to spend an eternity in damnation or in, whoa,
it's mind-blowing, isn't it?
Give me that mind-blowing. Wow, that's an epiphany right there.
Yeah.
So I think, like, I've got this tattooed right on my arm for a reason. Read it for me. It says,
count your blessings.
Because I think people need to stop, slow down, and to really, truly count what the blessings they really have.
I agree.
Instead of bitching and moaning about the problems they have, because I have loved ones.
In the scope of things, those problems are going to be minuscule.
People that I love would rather be alive with problems than dead with none.
Yeah.
So I just think that we have to sometimes minimize our problems to that little mayonnaise jar and leave it at the front door when we leave the house, because it'll be waiting on you when you get back.
It's funny you bring this up, though. I mean, did you see just yesterday Kyle Busch died at 41 years old, which is crazy, right? And I'm not a NASCAR fan, but I mean, I know who he is, and I respect the career that he built in a pretty short period of time, and he's a hero for NASCAR fans and in that world. But just to think about a guy at 41 years old who had the life that he had and young kids and a family, to just be gone like that at 41, recognizing how each day, as you're saying, is truly a gift. And if there's a reason why we're here, there's probably a purpose behind that. And those little problems that we tend to get so focused on and fixated on are not the things that really should be dictating the majority of our energy on a daily basis. It doesn't mean they don't exist. We have to deal with them, but there's a bigger reason, there's a bigger purpose behind us even being here each and every day. In my opinion.
That is very true, because it goes beyond the grave, where you can continue the legacy.
Right.
You can continue inspiring people. Like I would tell my children a lot, that each and every day is an opportunity for you to give your mother's life purpose.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And for me, it's really hard. I feel guilty if I have a bad day and I want to come home and woe's me and this, and I stop for a moment. I'm like, how dare you?
Right.
Like, yeah, I had a bad day, but I'm still living and breathing.
Think about all the things you had to be grateful for.
I'm just saying that's count your blessings. So I feel real guilty if I start to have a bad day and get down on myself, because I think of my wife and I think of my child who's no longer here, and I have a responsibility to carry on their existence, and I think that in life, whether you're running a team, a brokerage, a ministry, your family, whatever it is, everybody really needs to just recognize that, and the power of humanity and kindness. And we all don't have to be so divided, right?
Yeah.
There doesn't have to be the hate because I have a different opinion. And it's sad that we live in those times where it's like the ultimate hate. You try not to talk about religion and politics, but we live in it being I'm going to do it. It's Memorial Weekend. It's the land of the free because of the brave, right? There's nothing free about freedom, but there are people that have died for you to be able to have free will and to vote the way you do. Yeah. And if my opinion is different than yours, that is a right that has been given to us.
Right.
And I don't want to get too off the rails here, but we should not be far left and far right. We should be more united. You shouldn't hate me for what I believe in.
Totally.
You shouldn't hate someone love him or hate him, the late great Charlie Kirk. I'm going to give him a shout out too, because he really tried to give perspective to things and have a platform where he gave them the opportunity to voice themselves and to be a voice where no one else would listen.
Ironically, people call him a fascist, yet he was like allowing people to speak who disagreed with him more than anybody.
That's what I'm saying.
The most anti-fascist thing that you could ever do.
And then sometimes he would give them like, oh, wow, and then it's just.
He would encourage the people who disagreed mostly to go first, right?
Yeah,
and hear from them. It's interesting. I wanted to say this because you brought up this whole concept of eternity. And even as you guys know, Jason mentioned earlier, I am definitely faith drives a lot of my decision making. But when Jesus was asked, about the greatest commandment, right, in the New Testament, his answer was, number one, to love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your mind, with all your soul. Yep. And then number two, to love your fellow brothers like you love yourself, right? So if you think about even the 10 commandments in the Old Testament, they all are summed up with those two greatest commandments. The first 5 are about your relationship with God. Yeah. Really the first 4. And then from 5 to 10 are about your relationship with others. Right? Yeah. And if you really were thinking about it deeper, the idea of where you try to find true fulfillment, and this is true, I think, for team leaders in real estate, ministry leaders, no matter what leadership role you're in, it's generally when you truly are serving others that you start to feel more and more fulfilled in your role. Oh, wow. And when you're more serving yourself, that's usually where you start to feel that emptiness more and more and more and more. And the most unhappiest people I've ever come across are the people who are self-focused all the time. Yes. The people who are truly happiest and most fulfilled is when they're truly in a servant mindset. I don't know they're serving their people.
If it was Jim Rohn or Zig Ziglar that had said, maybe you'll know, it's you don't. I can't get what I want until
I help others get what they want. Yes, that was Zig Ziglar. Yeah,
that's that mentality, that servant mentality that you're speaking of.
Which, by the way, is a common trait I see with a lot of the top leaders that I've interviewed on the podcast. It's another huge trait we see regularly.
If we were to have some parting words, cue up the departing music loudly. Because believe it or not, this has been a power hour. We're blown past the hour.
Have we already? Man, time flies when I get to hang out with JMac.
Man, I could go another hour.
Real Mac moves. Time moves when you're hanging out with Real Mac.
We got to do like a part 2. This was so much fun having you on the show. I knew it would go down exactly this way. Very insightful. Hopefully there's a lot of nuggets the audience can kind of take from this and kind of use. Yeah. I feel a little more inspired. I don't know about you.
I'm ready to go create something this
Let's do it.
Let's go build, baby. Let's go serve.
Right here at the Real Mac Moves, thanks for joining in. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being here. And please return. And, Don Hill, give us some parting words of wisdom.
Like we just said,
right on the spot.
If you want to be the leader that you're capable of being, and you don't feel like you've been able to serve at the level that you want to serve, get off of yourself and on to other people. Be selfless rather than selfish, and you'll find that you'll get that fulfillment that you've been looking for. Hope that helps.
That is so good. Lead from the heart.
Amen.
Amen too. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you, my man.
It was a lot of fun. We will see you next time here on the Real Mac Moves. And thank you, Rob, behind the scenes. Peace.